It's a brand new day in the shop and we are about to get some good work done today. I'm excited for a good day and a fresh start. I made so much progress last night and that was really motivating. So now today we're going to be working on the handles, but the first thing is we have to hand sand this knife. If you remember in the last video, I had to switch out and grind this knife with a full flat bevel. And because of that, now I need to hand sand it. It doesn't affect the quality of the knife at all. It just annoys me that it's not exactly like the rest now, but just look how good that looks. And when I get that sanded, full flat grind, get it hand sanded so this transition here is nice and smooth, this thing is going to look sweet. So that's the first thing we're going to do here. Then we can start on the handles. Going to start out with some 120 here. This shouldn't take too long. It's actually coming along really nicely already. Okay, 2 hours has passed since I last talked to you guys, and I'm just going up to 180 grit. Just finished with the 220 or the 120, and no, I haven't been here sanding all this time. I started sanding, and then I had to go and do a couple other projects. I had a little bit more snow to clear. I had to fix something on the snowblower. Put a new starter cord on, rivet the starter cover back on, out picking at the John Deere tractor. Hit the like button if you live a life similar to that. I'm guessing most of you guys do, but this seems like there's always something going on, always something to do. But here we are back, not nearly as far as I had hoped to be by this point in the day. I figured I'd be gluing up handle scales by now. But that's it. That's life. Like I said, 180 grit here now. We dry sanded the 120 because it's not wet dry paper and it tends to break down if it gets wet. But now we're going over to the 180, which is wet dry. Here we go, here's the finish. We took it up to 800 grit and then a little buff on the grinder just to remove any sandpaper burrs and even out the finish, and it looks really good. It's not a polish, it's not like a mirror polish, but it's a little more than a satin. You see, it looks very nice, very nice. Now we're ready to start prepping some handles, finally. Okay, now here's the crazy part of the project. I have taped up these 10 blades and I have no idea what numbers. I didn't look at any numbers when I was taping them up, so it's complete randomness. And we are going to assign different colors to these knives. Now, a lot of these knives are already sold, not all by this point in the series, but half or more. But none of you know what handle material is going on yet. So the whole idea is that it's randomly assigned and they're going to be different, so they're not going to be all the same color. What I've done, I originally had some different ideas, and then I thought I better not choose any color that's too extravagant that would upset someone or that someone could really like. For example, going with a bright orange or a bright yellow, someone might really hate that. Whereas if you're going with milder colors, usually everyone is going to like it. It might not be your exact preference, but that's just the deal we're doing here. What I've got is Coyote Brown G10, Earth Brown G10, both really cool colors, and Forest Green G10. So these are really nice earthy colors. We'll see how far this material gets. We might venture into the black G10 here, which is a beautiful material as well. But we'll see. So this is the colors. Again, I have no idea who owns what knives here, so I'm not choosing based on any criteria. Now before I start drilling G10 or micarta, any handling material really, the first thing I do is I degrease this whole platform here. So the chuck, definitely the bits, whatever I'm using is always degreased and clean. That way I don't introduce any grease inside of any of the holes or to the material, because epoxy does not like any type of oil. Now remember, I don't know any of the actual numbers on these, but I do have to briefly number them just so I know with the scales what is what. So number 1, and this is the front. Okay, quick arrow. And that way I can pair it with number 1 later, because I have to take them apart now and do a little bit of work with the scales. Now the last thing I'm going to do for today's video is to degrease all of these parts. I just got some Varsol there in a spray 9 bottle. Wipe that down. Hey, what's up guys? It is so cold here today. It's about minus 16 outside, I believe the wind chill is right now, and we're not there in the shop, but we're definitely down close to double digits in the negative Celsius, and it is cold on the bare skin. We have 10 freshly glued bake apples. These have been sitting for nearly 24 hours. Well, some of them have been sitting for more like 30 plus hours because I'm short on clamps, so I had to do them in two separate gluing sessions, but they look great. All the glue seems to be cured well. Everything looks well, no seams. We do have a little bit of cleanup to do up around the ends here. But the first thing first is to trim off all those pins nice and tight, so that way we don't have to ground them down and generate a whole bunch of heat into the handle. We can just snip them off and then start grinding. We'll save on our belts as well. So that's the first thing to do. Now comes the really messy part, but the really fun part. There we go. Now I can see the real world. So here's where I bring it to with a 36 grit. So I flatten it in this dimension, and then I cut it out in this dimension, and then I break the corners once all the way around. So we have, I guess that would be an octagon. And then I break each of those corners once more just with another flat facet, which gives you what we have right there. Now I'll switch over to a 60 grit belt and I'll start actually rounding.
Up to this point with a 36 grit, it's just flat facets, so holding angles. That helps me keep symmetry. With the 60 grit now, I can start rounding because the amount of material removed really slows down.
Here's where we are, 220 grit, about to start hand sanding. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Okay, so we took all these Islanders up to 120 grit on the belt sander, and that's about as smooth as we can get it. We can go to 220 grit belt, but it's no point because we're not going to be able to get rid of all those facets on the belt grinder. So what we have to do now is start hand sanding, which is a lot of work, but we've got it pretty close, so hopefully it won't take too much. We'll hand sand it up to probably 800 or 1000 grit, and then I'm hoping to buff them. We got a new tool here, and yeah, so we got to get started. Nothing real fancy or exciting today. No big roaring tools or a forge or anything, just good old-fashioned grunt work. I use my soft jawed vise here. We'll just start sanding. I'm starting with 180 grit paper. I better put on a mask. Now after a couple hours of sanding, it is time to buff our handles. That is to buff the G10 material and hopefully get the finish we want. It's hard getting every little scratch out, but you get it as good as you can and hope that the buffing wheel will help that. So this is our new tool. This is a bench buffer I just had come in, and it is so quiet and nice. I'd say that's a pretty good finish. What do you guys think? I absolutely love this earth brown color. So nice. And it feels, it just locks into your hand completely here. Really loving this design, guys. Really, really loving it. I can't wait to pull that tape off, see what numbers got what color. But now, I'm going to buff the rest of these blades. Just to give you an idea here. Buffed versus not buffed. Now I have to say, after all that time working, it sure was nice to see that buffer bring it to life. Like I said, a bit of white compound, and I am super impressed with the results. Let's take a look. Now we're at a very exciting part in our project, and that is to pull that tape off and see what numbers got what scales. Okay, here she goes. Now keep in mind, all of these blades have to be buffed and cleaned up after we pull off that tape, but so they might look a little bit rough and dirty here now, but let's see. Oh, number 6, that flat grind right off the start. I was wondering which one was the flat grind. But now we finally get to see our blade. It's not buffed up, it's not clean. You still got all the glue from the tape and everything smudged on there. Look how good that flat grind came out. Oh, it's so good. Just look at that blade in the hand. Man, that is snazzy. You got all that belly and this big deep area here to really choke up on that blade. Okay, this would make a great carving knife as well. Feels so good. Okay, so number 6 is that deep forest green. Let's take a look at the next one here. We have that coyote brown, this tan. And we have number 9. You guys probably can't see from over there. This is like Christmas, unwrapping everything. There she is with that great big bevel. Man, that looks good. We have, oh, number 1. Lovely, lovely, lovely. The next green one is number 3. This is blade number 3. The next coyote is number 2. Blade number 2 here. Another earth brown here, and it is number 4. This is number 8. Number 8 here in a coyote brown. Oh, I love that big deep profile. All of that steel there and that big deep, the big deep belly. This is number 5 here now. With the earth brown again. Another great bevel. Look at that. Number 7 here is the final green. And then the final, I don't remember what numbers we've said or not. Oh, number 10. Right. Number 10 got the final earth brown here. All stamps came out very good. Oh, another nice bevel there. So we have them lined off here now, 1 through 10, put in order. I am really happy with these blades so far. I hope all you have purchased are happy. Man, that flat grind number 6 looks so good. I'm just going to clean them up here now on the bench grinder, give those bevels a buff. We'll sharpen them later. We'll do the leather work later. You guys will get to see all that as well. But I really want to thank you for coming along this series with me. I really appreciate the support. I really appreciate you guys buying these up. At the time I'm filming this, there is still 1 or 2 left. Maybe 3, possibly 3, but I'll post there on the editing anyways. You guys will get to see. But yeah, we really appreciate your support. Hit that like button, leave me a comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next one.